Speaking Human.
Today on Speaking Human, we expand our horizons by talking about brands branching out from their core business or philosophy by launching unexpected products, services, or media efforts, and discuss if that's ever a good idea.
Speaking Human.
Welcome to Speaking Human, where we simplify the world of marketing for humans. I'm Shad Conley, and with me is my co-host, Patrick Jebber.
I'm branching out today, Shad.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How you doing that?
I'm branching out. I am going to become someone totally different on this episode of Speaking Human. You're not even going to recognize me as your co-host.
Is that why you're totally wrapped in tree branches? You look like Groot.
And that's how I'm going to basically answer every question today. I'm just going to be like, I am Groot. And you're going to be like, stop, I don't understand what you're saying. I'll be like, I am Groot.
It's going to be really, really great podcasting. It's going to take the audio medium to just new heights, I think. So anyway, all this talk of trees makes me want to talk about branching out and brands branching out. What a great segue that was, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah. So recently, Patrick, you shared with me an infographic from HubSpot posted a while back that had famous brands that released weird products. And basically what it has is 18 different quote-unquote weird products that you wouldn't expect from certain brands. A few examples are Colgate kitchen entrees, Bic disposable underwear, and Lifesavers soft drinks. Most of them I would call product failures. Not all of them, but most of them. Just some weird things that came from brands who are trying something different or trying to extend their reach. So looking at that infographic there, Patrick, which we'll share in the show notes so everybody can look at it and follow along, what do you think is the best idea, the best example of a brand branching out on that list?
The best one that failed? Is that what we're asking? Or the best one in general?
The best one in general, I would say. What do you think's the best and what do you think is the worst?
I would say the Michelin travel guide, I think, is a pretty interesting extension of that brand. You use tires to get you to and from places. Obviously, it's a big departure from their actual product, which are the tires, but the tire brand is part of the traveling process. I personally, though, think the best would probably be Gerber adult food.
What?
I want to eat Gerber adult baby food. I do. I want to eat it. It's just like eating applesauce or yogurt, right? No? You don't like it?
No, that was probably my pick for the worst.
Was it?
Yeah.
Not Colgate food, toothpaste, spaghetti?
No. I shouldn't say that. That's not my pick for the worst, because that's not the worst. It's just a bad idea. It's still pretty much on brand. They're just taking their product and trying to sell it to a different audience. I think there's flawed thinking there. Maybe there was even some flawed marketing there in how they tried to do it. Calling it like blended meals for college students or young adults. It's not the worst, okay? I think how they probably tried to pull it off was unsuccessful. It's not the worst idea. The worst idea on here is probably, I would say, Diesel, maker of jeans, trying to go into the wine business, something like that, where it's like you're going way off base and just assuming that people like your high-end jeans, so they're going to like your wine. I think something like that is probably the worst thing on here. But I think of the idea of Gerber baby food doesn't super appeal to me. Like I wouldn't want to eat it.
You're not going to eat baby food, but isn't essentially applesauce?
It is. You're right. It's just a blended food.
I mean, it's got to be marketed correctly. It's got to be the right recipe, and the right types of foods that adults would actually want to eat.
Well, maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe you could sell me on it. If you marketed it well enough, maybe I could.
Yeah. Whereas, like you said, Diesel basically is your least favorite, or you think it's the worst on that list, yes?
Yeah, for what they're doing, I think they're just going so far away from what they are and just assuming that people will buy it based on brand and audience. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, for me, the worst was Colgate's toothpaste going into kitchen entrees because toothpaste and spaghetti just doesn't go together ever, And so people getting over that mindset, I think, is the hardest thing. Why?
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good point. I don't even know who or how they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good point. At least with the Diesel brand, there was a thought in somebody's mind. Well, we have this audience who loves these jeans. They might love this wine because it's the same audience. I don't know who at Colgate was like, people love our toothpaste, they'll love our spaghetti. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's not going to be like, people are just going to look at this and think of minty toothpaste and not want to buy it, which would be my immediate thought, which would be most people's immediate thought, right?
Yeah, and in those cases, why not just rebrand them as something else? You know what I mean? Like Colgate's a huge company, so make a sister company that makes food.
Yeah, with a different name.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you don't have the stigma of the original brand.
Unless they're all mint-based foods that also brush your teeth.
Yeah, because there's a lot of those.
Like mint cookies.
Sure, mint cookies. But even then, like, would you buy Colgate mint cookies? I just can't imagine
They brushed your teeth.
if they brush your teeth. Yeah, but then you're talking about a totally new kind of product like we've done in our past episodes and covered those, where you're accomplishing two things at once. And then that is genius, actually. If I could brush my teeth by eating cookies, I think everybody would do that. I get my dessert and I brush my teeth at the same time.
Win-win.
Win-win. So do you think it's ever a good idea for a brand to jump out of its lane and do something outside of its main expertise?
I think it can be a good idea. I think it really depends on how it's done. The keys in most cases are 1, the risk level, or 2, not stretching too far from your brand. If it's high risk or you're stretching too far from your brand, that's probably a bad thing. Mm-hmm. If one of those two things is happening, your chances of failure or something bad happening because of it probably increase. Like jeans to wine is a big stretch and a big risk. Whereas something like the Guinness Book of World Records is a really good idea, which I didn't even know was associated with the Guinness brand, but it's low risk, right? Because what's the big deal if this fails? It's not a huge deal because all you're doing is you're putting together this book of knowledge. If it fails or it doesn't become like a super big thing, no big deal really, right?
Right.
Low risk.
Yeah.
So I think balancing those aspects is the key here. What do you think?
From a branding perspective, I think it's always a good idea to reflect on the brand and to reevaluate where it's at, if it needs to evolve. Because I think evolution of brands, essentially trying new things, is a crucial part of life. Businesses are alive, and so they should be evolving or adapting or growing. And in some cases, that means branching out. So yeah, I mean, it can be a good idea, just like you said, it's got to make sense for that brand. If it is a complete departure, it's okay, like you mentioned Guinness, because it's something completely different. And if it fails, it's not like hurting the original brand in the process,
Yeah. I think what we see too often, brands do these things a little carelessly and they rely too much on just the brand name, We have this name, so we can do this thing. So let's throw a bunch of money at it. The name will carry it forward. Just the brand name carrying the effort is not enough. There has to be more.
Yeah.
So what do you think, when you're trying to undertake something like this, something that's off the beaten path for the brand, is it ultimately worth it for most brands?
In my opinion, and in general, some of the best ideas come from experimentation, and trial and error. So sometimes those are exercises in futility, meaning it may or may not fail, but happy accidents happen from that. So, you're being creative, you're constantly moving forward and trying to be progressive in the way that you consider and think about your brand. The cons are obviously that, like you mentioned before, you could potentially hurt or tarnish your brand in that process if you're not careful, right?
Yeah, I agree with you on doing these different things. It creates a culture of creativity and innovation. That's definitely a good thing. You want people thinking outside the lines and not being afraid to throw out some ideas, even if they're bad ideas. So it's great to have these things, even if they never come to fruition or even if they're kind of meaningless in the long term, because a lot of the times they lead to other things. Like one innovation that's not something so great leads to something bigger down the road. We've seen this countless times in history for brands.
Yeah. I think that those are some interesting explorations of brands that weren't great branches of the original brand or product. Somebody needed to just chainsaw those branches right off.
Other than Cheetos lip balm, which is genius.
As long as it leaves this cheesy residue on your lips too, so you have orange lips.
Exactly.
I mean, It's got to do that.
Everybody loves that film.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe weren't great ideas, but in a minute we'll take a look at a trio of offshoot efforts from big brands looking to drive customer interest. But first, let's get a quick word from our sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Farmers Insurance. Insurance can be confusing, overwhelming, and time-consuming. At Hire Insurance Agency, we remove the guesswork and hassle, helping you protect what matters most. We offer a wide range of auto, home, business, and life insurance policies to help you meet your specific needs. Call 844-543-3463 or visit hireinsurance.com. That's HYRE insurance.com for more information.
What makes McDonald's new signature crafted recipes so great? Maybe it's the guacamole made with Hass avocados. Or maybe it's the sweet barbecue sauce made with Vidalia onion. Oh no, I've got it. It has to be the bacon with maple seasoning. Wait, I know that look. It's the taste. McDonald's new signature crafted recipes, freshly prepared on your choice of tender chicken or 100% pure beef. Create your signature crafted sandwich today.
That was a clip from a 2016 commercial for McDonald's signature crafted recipe sandwiches. Those customizable sandwiches, which were notably outside the brand's typical wheelhouse, recently got chopped from the menu after only a few years of service. We're going to be talking about that brand effort to branch out, as well as a couple others now. But before we get to Mickey D's high-end cuisine, let's start with another big brand dipping its toes into unfamiliar waters. Netflix.
Netflix.
So Patrick, what is Netflix doing that's a little different, a little outside their normal realm?
So yeah, Netflix is joining tech companies like Airbnb and Bumble and publishing a magazine. A magazine. Yeah, you heard that right. Currently, they're calling it Wide. The free print magazine will be over 100 pages and contain interviews and essays and features around Netflix's series. And it will be distributed at Netflix-hosted events and screenings. I believe they're going to be launching this in June when Television Academy members cast their votes for Emmy nominations. So, a print publication, a magazine, from the digital streaming service Netflix. Kind of interesting. I would say that's a branch, would you not?
I would say it's outside what they normally do. They don't, as far as I know, make any other printed materials.
Yeah, they don't. Other than when you subscribe to them and you got the DVD in the mail.
Red envelopes?
Red envelopes. That's about the only other thing. Have they ever printed anything else? I don't know. I don't think so.
Not what they're known for.
I mean, they print their own money.
It's what it seems like.
They're wildly successful. So, do you think this is a good idea, a bad idea? What do you think?
I think it's a pretty good idea. I understand the why behind it. They really want awards right now. That's what it seems like after you saw their Academy Awards push and now their Emmy Awards push. They just really want to justify this transformation of the TV and movie model from traditional to streaming, and show that Netflix is a powerhouse in both those fields. So I get what they're going for, but I think there's a better idea hidden there. I think there's a better idea that they could be doing that's like sitting right there. But let me ask you before I get to that, what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, I get that they are going to distribute these at events. You know, as a business decision, though, I think it's just probably a waste of money.
What I was actually thinking, what sounds better, and you'll probably disagree with me based on what you just said, is I think the better idea, and one that initially excited me when I heard about this, was the potential of a TV Guide-esque print magazine for Netflix subscribers. I'd like to get a quarterly publication in the mail from Netflix, a print thing that I got in the mail that details all their new original series. I just feel like Netflix has so much that's just getting shot out into the ethers all the time that I cannot keep up with it. Like, I hear about stuff, and sometimes I hear about it later, but man, it would be good to get something directly from them, even something I could just leaf through once a quarter and just be like, oh, okay, these are the new things they have on and the stars that are in them, like new TV shows and movies. Through the mail, something physical I could hold. Even if I just look at it for like 10 minutes, probably wouldn't be worth it from a cost perspective for them with all the subscribers they have, but maybe people could choose to sign up for this. I think that would be an interesting idea. I think that's maybe something they could do since they're producing this anyways and have people just opt in if they wanted to get it.
You know, as much as I said a print magazine is a waste of money, that idea, though, is a good idea. I still think it's a waste of money.
Would you like to have something like that, though?
I
Would
think
you appreciate that?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, for all the reasons you mentioned. I mean, I think a lot of the series are getting lost, and it's a part of the amount of content that's getting produced all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if you'd ever be able to keep up. Even if you had a publication like this, I don't even know if you'd be able to keep up. But it would still be cool because then it's not like a digital piece which is here and gone. The potential for that just getting lost in and of itself, just like the content that you're missing out on.
The actual content, right?
Yeah, so, you know, having a physical piece is always a little better for those situations. So, yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool. I would personally enjoy it. But outside of that, I still think, like, from a business decision, it's probably a waste of money for the reasons you mentioned, and one of those being the amount of subscribers that they have. You know, like, you think about, that'd be a huge subscriber base. But like you said, you might have to sign up for it or something like that. But if I know anything about people, if somebody said, hey, Netflix has a magazine, all you have to do is go on their website and subscribe to it, and you get it for free, everybody would do that.
Would they? Or would nobody ever do it?
I think everybody would do it because they'd be like, oh, it's free and Netflix gives it to me and I already pay them money. Now, if it was something where you had to pay an extra buck out of your subscription for it, then you might be onto something there, you know, because then at least they're making something back.
Yeah, and then I question if I would actually want it.
Yeah.
Then you think to yourself, do I actually want it if I have to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Could sweeten the pot, though.
It could, but are they getting anything out of that magazine? You know what I mean? Like, you're already a subscriber, so
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not going to subscribe again.
Here's another idea I'll throw at you. What about for Netflix is trying to reach older people who don't have Netflix? They send out a TV Guide-esque publication, and they're like, subscribe to Netflix now, and then they make a fake TV Guide listing. 8 o'clock, House of Cards.
Actually, not a bad idea.
Tell people when they watch stuff.
That's interesting, actually. I like that idea because it's a throwback, A. It makes absolutely no sense as to why you would put timed things there.
No.
But that's also kind of the creativity of it, is like, it's one of the pitfalls of streaming, right? Is people are, I don't know what to watch right now. And if you used primetime television time slots, because at 8 o'clock, if I'm 5 minutes late pulling that up on Netflix, it doesn't really matter, right? Which is kind of the genius of it. But you've now given them ideas of what to watch around primetime at 8 p.m. You know what I mean?
Maybe you could also invent something like primetime mode, and you'd be like, turn on primetime mode, and it just plays. Interesting. Yeah. All right, well, let's go to our next one. We've been through Netflix. Number 2 on our list is Amazon, of course. Amazon is testing a new personalized styling service, which looks to rival Stitch Fix and other similar services. Prime Stylist will use artificial intelligence and a real live personal stylist to provide curated wardrobe selections to users. Good idea or bad idea? Why? Go.
Well, here we are. Amazon, it's into everything.
Amazon everything.
They might as well have just called themselves everything. As a brand, I think this is just a natural extension for it. They already use data to customize everything from shopping cart recommendations to advertising products they think we'd like based on our buying decisions. So what's different about giving me suggestions on what to wear based on things I've purchased or things I've looked at? So I don't think it's a bad idea. And if you have been on Amazon recently, they have the
Something reality, what's that called? Or
augmented reality.
augmented reality.
Yeah, so they've got the augmented reality feature where you can actually show the product on your desk or on your floor if it's furniture. They could implement that. Show me what these jeans look like on me. Who knows? I mean, obviously that's an extension there, but yeah, I think it's a natural extension for the brand.
Yeah, I think you said it all. I think it seems like from a business perspective, it's probably a good idea. They obviously already have the clothes and the shipping resources in place. So it's not much of a stretch to add the other element. Adding the real live personal stylist is the hard part there. So how they do that, and if they can keep up with Stitch Fix, which has been pretty popular in those kind of services, which I don't see why they couldn't do something like that. It makes sense for them to do that and add that aspect. The thing I will say about Amazon, and we've sung their praises a lot over the years on this show, a lot. I gotta say though, in the past, year or so, I've begun to see the cracks a little. I've begun to see the downside of this business that just keeps snowballing and spreading itself in a million different directions. I've had some interactions with them, and where the things I've kind of always turned to Amazon to over the years, the kind of low prices and really good customer service, in my opinion, have starting to fall off a little bit. And it's, what you see a lot with companies like this, where they just keep spreading and spreading and the middle begins to sink a little bit,
Yeah.
So maybe that makes this a little bit of a bad idea in the sense that that's just where they're going. They just keep pushing outward and pushing outward and pushing outward until, how far can you keep pushing outward until that middle drops out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how big can you get and still be that good at those things you were always good at? So in that sense, I don't know. I've begun to question that a little bit. My Amazon love, I've got to admit, has sunk a couple notches. I'll throw that out there, but as a business idea, I think this idea does make sense for them.
Yeah. It's a matter of how far they take it. Because, they could very well be like, it's like Alexa. Alexa's their own brand. Or remember the Fire phones? Those didn't go over very well. Like Stitch Fix, for example. They have their own brand of clothes. I don't think I'd ever buy the Amazon brand as a clothing line. So as long as they're selling original brands, I think that's not a bad idea.
And I guess I'm sure they'll competitively price it too. Because the idea is, Stitch Fix, this is all they do, right? This is their only business.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Amazon will find a way to competitively price against them to make people turn to the Amazon way versus the Stitch Fix, which you saw when I think this was announced, the Stitch Fix stock dropped like that day.
That makes sense.
Immediate reaction of like, oh God, Amazon's coming after us.
Yeah, of course. Then the third idea we have here is from McDonald's. We actually know the outcome of this one. McDonald's is dropping its line of premium signature crafted recipe sandwiches, which included pico guacamole, sweet barbecue bacon, and maple bacon Dijon sandwiches, all around or above the $5 mark. Unveiled only a few years ago, the president of McDonald's USA said the menu additions would include more food-forward ingredients and appeal to millennials. But again, now we see they're dropping that line, and obviously we'll have some opinions on why that is. But what do you think? Good or bad idea? Apparently McDonald's thought it was a bad idea.
Yeah, I think now that it didn't work, it's easy to say it's a bad idea, right? Or it seems like it's a bad idea, but I don't know that it is a terrible idea. I mean, you have to keep trying these different things. I mean, if McDonald's just kept serving the same food, I'm sure their profits would be plummeting and people would be like, how come McDonald's never tries anything different? So you have to keep kind of throwing out these new things against the wall. The kind of knock on McDonald's is they're trying to push these premium products or different products that are like slowing them down. You know, people go there because they want their food fast, not necessarily like these customizable things, or they're getting away from the core of who they are, why people go there. So I don't think they're a bad idea. I don't think they were a great idea. I don't think they met this audience need that they hoped was going to be there, or brought in these people that they wanted to bring in, you know, this like younger audience in the way they hoped that they would. But even if they fail a lot of the time, they also remind people how much they love those originals. So there's that positive that comes out of it at the end.
Just generally, I think it's a good idea, different menu items that they're experimenting with. The funny thing is, this effort is in McDonald's wheelhouse because it's food. But oddly enough, customization and high-end food products are too far removed from that wheelhouse. Isn't that a funny thing to think about? You make food for a living, but customizing that food, oh, wait a second, now you're being just crazy.
You make food, but not that food.
Yeah, I mean, don't go changing things up. Customization causes longer lines. I mean, I've been to McDonald's a few times where there's some lines, right? But it's fast food. That's why people go there. It's fast. If I want to sit down and wait for my meal, I'll go to a restaurant. If I need something quick because I'm hungry and I only have 3 minutes before I have to be somewhere, you go to McDonald's, right? So I think that's where the idea falls apart. That's where the branching out falls apart for them, I think, in this idea.
It depends what fast is. Maybe these sandwiches took 4 minutes versus 3 minutes. Who knows, right?
Yeah, very, very, very true. But, you know, that 1 minute could be all the difference in the world when you're multiplying that times a million. You know what I mean? So
That's true. It's true.
So I think sometimes bad ideas also help us learn something.
Yeah. It's not like it hurts to try. You know, you come out with something you think is obviously they tested these things out. They thought they were a good idea. They had a plan in place with them. They tried it. It didn't quite work out. Happens all the time. Sometimes those things just don't work. That's okay. And I feel like sometimes people are a little bit hard on brands when they push outside the lane and these things don't work.
Yeah, people have a tendency to be overcritical. I mean, you know, like we're evaluating and we're analyzing some of these situations where brands branched out, and we're giving our opinions on if it was a good idea or a bad idea. But in the end, I'm not mad at them. I think it's a good thing for brands to be creative and try to branch out and try to do new things. That's, like I said, life. Evolving and adapting and growing is all part of that, and even in business. So
Yeah. And let's be honest, that maple bacon Dijon signature crafted recipe sandwich was probably delicious. People just didn't want to say the full name.
yeah, honestly, when I saw those 3 recipes, they all sounded delicious to me. I just don't really eat at McDonald's. I don't know why that they weren't successful because, I mean, they all sound really good. But again, what are people going to McDonald's for? The staples, probably, the cheeseburger, the Big Mac, the quarter pounder, you know, French fries. Yeah, Happy Meal, a Coke. I can't imagine anything outside of that is getting like mad reviews, you know, from people. So,
Well, Filet-O-Fish is listening to this podcast and is highly offended.
yeah, I didn't mention the Filet-O-Fish. It doesn't get the props it deserves. And
For Lent.
yeah, and by props, I didn't mean like motorboat props because that would kill a fish.
And on that note, let's get our final nugget of human wisdom.
Today's nugget of human wisdom comes in the form of a movie quote. Even though this isn't MoMA, we still like movies. This movie quote is from Shawshank Redemption. I'd like to play a clip of it now. I think you guys will all recognize if you've seen this movie. Let's take a listen.
I don't think you ought to be doing this to yourself, Andy. I mean, Mexico is way the hell down there, and you're in here, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, right. That's the way it is. It's down there and I'm in here. I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
So this is a great quote and one that can translate to today's podcast theme. You know, we've talked about brands trying new things. Some have been disasters, But you know what? The brands tried something new. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, and I'll say it again. Brands are alive. They're born, they grow, they should evolve, they should adapt, and if necessary, they should try new things that sometimes might feel uncomfortable. Is there a chance at failure? Sure. But as anyone in business will tell you, many of the greatest successes have first endured failure. So if there's one nugget you can take away, it's that in business, you either get busy living or you get busy dying.
It's good. It's a good one. I think we can all agree to that. You know, you got to take your shots every once in a while. Put yourself in position to succeed. Stay close. Remember your brand mission, but take those shots every once in a while. I think something good can come of it, even if it's just something good creatively or in terms of future innovation. When you think outside the lines or have people innovate in these sort of ways, I think something good always comes of it.
Yeah, or bad. Something bad could come from it too.
Your brand can get entirely wiped out.
Yeah, people will be like really angry. Be like, I'm never going to McDonald's again. They tried to give me new kinds of food.
We make toothpaste. Why would we try to make spaghetti that tastes like toothpaste? So stupid.
Why, God? Loved it. Well, that's it for today's episode, everyone. You can find current and past episodes of the podcast on a website, our website, speakinghuman.com. While you're there, check out the Buzz section of the site and drink in the latest marketing and branding news like a steaming hot cup of information that will leave you bouncing off the walls with knowledge and power. It'll make you more creative. It'll make you feel something.
Sounds delightful. Do you remember a brand branching out in a weird, interesting, or unexpected way? Tweet it to us using the hashtag #BrandBranchout. You can find us at speaking_human on Twitter. That's at speaking_human on Twitter. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Speaking Human. Catch you then, humans.
Speaking Human.